Number 8 is that that a cow is a child, is a cat, is a person. I call it rampant anthropomorphism in the culture. When the only connection to animals is my pet dog or cat, it makes a complete jaundiced, unnatural type of understanding. You know, I have people come to me and say, come on, this eating animals thing, haven't we gotten over that? We're sentient beings, haven't we really gotten over that? Come on. Let me tell you something. Everything is eating and being eaten. Everything. If you don't believe me, go lie naked in your flower bed for 3 days and see what gets eaten. That kind of thinking does not illustrate a new transportation into the cosmos of nirvana, evolutionary thought, but rather an completely aberrant devolution to ecological disconnectedness. We got all sorts of manifestations of this. You know, we've got people telling us we're abusive to our free-range chickens because if they have any kind of fence to keep them in a field, that's abusive. Of course, if they get through the fence, all they do all day is run around the outside trying to get back in. Castration. Oh, despicable. Well, caponizing roosters is as old as the hills. So is castration. It came along with domestication. It reduces the wildness and makes them manageable so they don't fight. What do we want? All our animals fighting out there all the time? I'd like to turn some people into eunuchs. Electric fence. Oh, that might hurt them. Well, everything's eaten and being eaten. Death is necessary for life. There are profound spiritual implications when we all realize that in order for us to live, something must die for us to live. Profound spiritual implications. Only through sacrifice can life be regenerated. Every time we eat, we are reminded not only of the end of life, but the hope of the regeneration that a life of sacrifice creates for the next generation. Profound spiritual implications. Number 9, cows cause global warming. Well, there happened to be a lot more herbivores, at least in the U.S., 600 years ago than there are today. Herbivores actually prune the biomass and restart the biomass generation engine. If we don't have herbivores, what are we supposed to do to start that engine? Everybody go out and mow everything? That's why on our farm we practice mob stocking, herbivorous solar conversion, lignified carbon sequestration, fertilization. The earth healing system is based on perennials, not annuals, herbivores, not omnivores, portable, not stationary, multi-speciation, not monospeciation, biomass regeneration and decomposition, not petroleum, pasture-based instead of concentration animal feeding operations, local rather than global, insourced instead of outsourced, holistic instead of compartmentalized. And while I'm there to customize this for Australia, water is a single limiting, one of the biggest limiting factors in land healing procedures. And what's happened is that we have moved that we have taken a peat bog wet land mentality from areas in Europe in which drainage is important and translocated it to a totally different climate in Australia of water drainage when we need to be in a water accumulation cycle. And that starts by keeping raindrops as close to the place where they fall as long as possible, not getting them sent down the channel to the ocean as fast as possible. Number 10, you're really just a bunch of elitists, and I don't like elitists. If everyone can't afford it, then it's not fair. Well, now, I know nobody in this room buys anything you don't need. Let's talk about the people that aren't here. Does anybody not here, can you think of anybody who's buying something that they don't need? I mean, do we really need flat screen TVs? Do we really need $100 designer jeans with holes already in the knees? Do we really need Coca-Cola? Do we really need Kentucky Fried Chicken? Do we really need microwavable frozen DiGiorno's pizza? $10 a pound potato chips? I mean, there's a whole host of things that we buy. Do we really need to buy stocks and bonds?
I thought you said socks.
Socks. I did this at a university with a bunch of college students. I said, can anybody think of something that we buy that we don't need to? And some guy yelled out, underwear! Well, I don't do that anymore, you know. I'm just going to tell you some ideas just to get you. I'm not sure what somebody's going to say, you know. The fact is that if we begin buying raw food and fixing it at home, we'll completely change the, we can all eat like kings. Besides, if we get rid of some of these regulations so that a person can make pickles in their house in Sydney and sell them to the neighborhood, then the economies of scale and the price will all come down. I've got to finish up quick because I'm at time. I'll just ask this price. Why is it elitist to eat food our grandmothers grew up on? The real elitists are those that think they have the right to tell you what you can and cannot eat. Those who would deny us, through their misguided thinking, easy access to wise traditional foods that our grandparents grew up on and were robust on, those are the true food elitists. Our food is worth more. It's a fair price. There's no externalized costs. 11. Australians have no fundamental right to food freedom of choice. This is the real kicker. See, the fundamental question is, who owns me? If I can't make choices that can hurt me, then I also can't make choices that can help me. I mean, the ultimate way to protect me from my decisions is to put me in a straitjacket in a bubble. A life without risk is the safest life in the world, but who wants to live it? Bureaucrats, maybe. Food safety is actually subjective, and it's often determined by people with a prejudice against heritage-based food. What good is the right to have worship and assemble and speak if we don't have the freedom to choose how to feed our internal community to give us the energy to go, pray, and preach, and assemble? And finally, number 12, the universal assumption that farmers are dolts. Whatever happened to the Jeffersonian intellectual agrarian? You know, farmers have been considered dolts for a long time. The stereotypical redneck hillbilly. It's very alive and well. I encourage farmers, folks, get on your duds. When you go to town, stand toe to toe with the CEOs and the professionals. That's what you're about. And read a little bit. You know, if you really want to come off like a professional, the first thing you should do is go use your television for cricket batting practice. Farmers who grow food good enough to keep us out of the hospital should be revered as much as the surgeons who fix the heart problems when we eat the junk that farmers that are disrespected grow. Wouldn't it be cool to have a national policy that we will know that we're moving forward in our food and agricultural sector into a new era when we actually have A and B students romantically drawn into food production? and becoming the stewards, the loving stewards of our precious air, soil, and water. That would be cool. So when we take these assumptions, these are all very critical assumptions. Every one of us, everybody's heard these, right? I mean, they're just normal assumptions, all right? But they are so ubiquitous in our culture that they cloud all the policy decisions, all these scientific study decisions, who gets money, who doesn't get money, what paperwork gets shoveled, who gets, harassed by food police. They cloud everything. And so I want to, let's just put them out in the room and deal with them, see? Now you have a way to articulate the side that's honorable and that brings sacredness to our food system. Let's all be busy about restoring a healing food system and pushing us through this Inquisition time to where we have a reformation of the food system. Thank you so much for letting me share with you.